All right, welcome to the Disability Law Show. We're back for another week. Good to have you along for the ride. Try to stick around for the whole half hour. You will learn plenty. John Scholes here, Sivan Tumarkin there as well. Disability lawyer, of course. Disabilityrights.ca. Reach out anytime to Sivan and his team. If you just need a chat, it's toll-free. Consultations won't cost you a dime either. It's a good plan. 1-855-821-5900. Help at disabilityrights.ca. You want to match up the phone call and the email. That'd be a good idea. Lots to do on the show again today. Emails, phone calls coming through, questions all over the place, and we have a main topic as well. This week it is the role of a disability lawyer, what to expect. If you don't know anything about that, Sivan will open that up for us, and we'll get to that chat as well. But we always kick it off with a case of the day or a week that was. Sivan, what do you got going on this week, pal?
John, I'm going to talk about a case dear to my heart. It's a friend of mine, and we've actually mentioned him before. I won't mention the name or the insurance company, but he's been on long-term disability now for about a year and a half, just over a year and a half. Initially, it was because of heart problems. He's in his mid-40s. He has a few kids at home, two kids, small kids at home. He had a physically demanding job, and because of the heart issues, he was forced to take disability to try and get some treatments to get better. But then his mother died, and there's other things that happened in his life, and it spiraled and became a mental health issue, not just a heart issue, a physical issue, but also a psychological disability that he was experiencing, depression, anxiety, just a whole bunch of issues that had continued to disable him. And in fact, now, his disability is primarily driven due to his mental health. Again, depression, anxiety, and so on. Now, why am I mentioning this? Because initially there were issues when I had first talked about him on the show with respect to him getting long-term disability. And I was guiding him through that, and I was helping him. And, it's what I tell people as well out there if you're watching. If you're thinking about going on long-term disability and you're not sure if maybe you'll qualify or what needs to be done, feel free to reach out to me, a member of my team, and, we can walk you through it and help you with that. No cost, no expense, nothing. We don't charge for this. But my friend was able to get long-term disability. A week ago, he calls me up and he says, my adjuster, I spoke with her, my claims manager at the insurance company, and she said that, we're approaching the 2-year mark this summer. And I'm going to connect you with a few people on my team to try and see if we can get you back to work. And John, you and I have spoken about this before. We've spoken about this issue before. What is the significance of that 2-year mark, number one? And can an insurance company force you to go back to work if you're not ready to go back to work? Let's deal with the first issue. And this is what I was explaining to him as well. The first issue is with respect to the 2-year mark, the reason why it's so significant and why so many people find the insurance company becoming active again with their claim is because at the 2-year mark, under most long-term disability policies, the qualification, the criteria for getting LTD payments changes. Initially, for the first 2 years, the test is, can you perform the essential tasks of your own occupation, your own job? Beyond the 2-year mark, to get disability benefits beyond the 2-year mark, under most policies, just like my friend's, the test changes. It's no longer can you perform your own occupation, it's can you perform the tasks of any occupation for which you are suited for by training, education, or experience. Those 3 things are important. Why they're important is because a lot of insurance companies will tell you that they believe that you can do all these other jobs for which you have no education, training, or experience. Well, that's not the criteria. Practically speaking, many insurance companies end up cutting people off at that 2-year mark or around that time, arguing that the individual is no longer disabled under the policy, meaning you still may be unable to do your job, but the insurance company feels that you can do some other occupation for which you're suited for. The reality is very different. Many people find that they still cannot, especially if you're dealing with mental health issues. It doesn't matter if it's a physical job or whatever other kind of job. If you're suffering from depression, from anxiety, PTSD, any of those kinds of conditions, most likely you're unable to do anything at this point, or your functionality is very, very low. So that's the reason why the 2-year mark is important, because the test changes. And that's what's happening with my friend. Now, his question to me is the kind of question I get from many people. Can they force me? Can they force me to go back to work? The answer is no. They cannot force you. They can try and persuade you. They can try and pressure you by saying, if you don't do it, we're going to cut off your benefits. Here's how you deal with this. If you know that you're not able to go back to work, whether it's your work or any other work, because of your disability, as long as your doctors confirm, doctor or doctors confirm that you are disabled from working in any job at this point in time, the insurance company should keep you on LTD. And if they don't, then you have a claim against them in law for a breach of the contract. They're not allowed to do it. If your doctors say that you cannot go back to work in any job at this point at the 2-year mark, the insurance company cannot cut off your LTD benefits. And if they do or threaten to do or tell you there is a date at which your benefits will end, guess what? We can go after them legally. And that's what I've told my friend here. So I told him we have your back. And, you know, again, this is an issue that comes up, John, each and every day. If you or someone you know is in a situation where the insurance company is trying to force you to go back to work or telling you that your benefits will end because they believe that you don't qualify beyond that 2-year mark, contact us. Let us talk to you. It doesn't cost anything. This advice is free. We look over your documents. And this is what I told my friend. I said, you know, show me the correspondence. Show me the medical documents. I know him, so I can tell you, there's no way he can go back to work. If the insurance companies tries anything here, we're going to go after them with everything we have. And trust me, we're going to make them pay. That's what we do. And it's not hard, by the way. Insurance companies understand that out of 10 people that they do this to, X amount of those people, a certain number, will walk away. Yeah. Or will kill them, or try to go back to work. So it's a numbers game for them. If 5 out of the 10 people simply walk away or give up or whatever, imagine how much money the insurance company now saved. Yeah. So, you know, you have to stand up for your rights, but we are here to advise you of your rights and we're here to help you. It doesn't cost anything. Just give us a call. We'll talk to you about your case. We'll tell you what your options are, and that's it.
What started as a physical issue, as you mentioned, is now turned into a mental health issue. Does the disability, rather the insurance company, frown upon that? Will they take more chances? Will they push harder because it's a mental illness as a physical one?
Excellent question. I don't know that they frown upon that. It's another issue they have to deal with. Right. I think that I've seen situations where insurance companies said that, you know, we just don't buy it.
Where's the X-ray? Where's the MRI?
Correct, exactly. It's invisible, you know. But again, it comes back to something very fundamental, which is if the people treating you, family doctor, psychologist, pain specialist, whoever you are going to, if they say that you are unable to work because of so-and-so situation, of these symptoms or this diagnosis or whatever, the insurance company's hands are tied. It may not seem like that, right? Because, again, insurance companies, they try to get you off claim. They don't want to pay you. Mm-hmm. So they'll try to bully themselves, bully you. They'll try to force themselves onto you and say, no, you know, this doesn't qualify you. It does. It does. As long as you're unable to perform the tasks of your employment or any employment for which you're suited for after the 2-year mark, and as long as you have people who are treating you, again, doctors, psychologists, psychiatrists, pain specialists, chiropractors, whoever, as long as they say, look, this person needs to be off work to recuperate, to follow treatments, the insurance company is taking a major risk. But only if you stand up for your rights. And this is the key thing. Many people choose not to stand up for their rights. Many people think the insurance company can just do things unilaterally. They can't. This relationship between you and the insurance company is governed by a contract. It's the policy. The insurance company can't go outside that policy. If they go outside that policy, if they do something they're not allowed to do, we, on your behalf, can go after them and force them to pay you what you're owed. Do
you find the situation will sometime arise, too, that if they've threatened to, or if they're going to cut you off, once your employer gets wind of that, they're like, okay, we'll see you Monday. Come on back to work. And you're still not ready to go back to work.
It can happen, absolutely. And the problem is that sometimes there's communication between the insurance company and the employer, especially if it's a larger employer and they deal with the insurance company because they've procured the policy. All these things happen. And people feel that they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, between the insurance company and this employer. And of course, as you know, John, our employment side of the practice, Lior and his team, we help people with their employment issues. But certainly, people feel a lot of times squeezed in between. And what people don't understand, a lot of times when I speak with them, I have to reassure them. It doesn't matter how many times they watch the show, my show, Lior's show, other shows. People don't believe us when we tell them, you have so much more power than you think you do. The law is on your side. It's on your side. I'm not saying the insurance company is always wrong.
Sure.
I mean, they are occasionally right. But don't underestimate how powerful you are and how much the law is in your favor if you are disabled, both from a disability standpoint, insurance standpoint, and an employment standpoint. So the employer and the insurance company need to tread carefully. You need to understand what your rights are so that you can navigate the situation.
Great online tool called pocketdisabilitylawyer.ca. Tell me about it.
It's a website that we had created a while back. It's been used quite a lot by people across the country, and really it is kind of the first place you can go to if you don't want to call us or email us with your questions about your disability claim. Whether you've been denied your disability or you're thinking about appealing a denial, or have been told by the insurance company to see one of their doctors. If you want to get information, most people just Google this. They Google the questions. Problem is that with Google, you may end up on incorrect websites, websites from a different jurisdiction, outdated. This is a website, an online tool that we created that is free, that is anonymous, that is quick. You just choose whatever the issue is you're facing, and it'll tell you what your rights are. And if you want to get more information, you can contact us. But it's an amazing first place to go to get basic information about your questions.
As you may know, Sivan, of course, a lot of the other lawyers in the firm are all over the radio space as well. We cover a lot of shows each week. I've been doing that for years. You want to tune into those disabilityrights.ca for more details. Want to get to our first call of this show, Sivan, and we'll break it down. Here we go.
A dear friend of mine is on long-term disability. Her employer has started sending her letters, asking her all sorts of questions and disputing what her doctors are saying. I think her biggest concern is if she does get fired, will this impact her LTD benefit?
That's what we were just talking about.
Yeah. So I'm going to answer the question that this lady has asked, but then I'm going to go back a little bit and talk about the whole employer situation. Even though I'm not an employment lawyer, again, by osmosis, I can tell you some important information. On the LTD side of things, here's what you need to understand. With some limited exceptions, if you are approved for long-term disability, and then at some point while you're on LTD, you get fired from your job, your LTD should continue. You're already on the program, you've qualified with the insurance company, there is no reason why you are not going to be getting long-term disability benefits. It's something that people are often very concerned about, either when they get fired or when the company's bought over or when it goes bankrupt. Again, with some limited exceptions, if you're dealing with an insurance company that's paying you the benefits, if you've been approved for LTD and you get let go, the insurance company must continue paying you. The only way they can stop paying you is if you reach whatever the age limit is under the policy. In many cases, it's 65 years old. Or if you're ready to go back to work and the insurance company determines that and you don't have any proof contrary to that. So there are some limited exceptions. But the point is, getting fired does not trigger a denial of LTD. Okay? Now, let me just go back for a second. This lady was mentioning her friend having all these issues with the employer. Again, this is exactly what I'm talking about the fact that we have employment lawyers. And some of our employment lawyers, by the way, have dual expertise at the firm. They do employment law and LTD law. So, her friend can speak to, the lawyers that are in my firm. There are 3 lawyers in my firm that have dual specialty that I can think of. There's more, but 3 in particular that I think would be good for this case. And they can advise her friend, John. And the reality is that if your employer lets you go while you're disabled or if you're on disability, that's a big problem for the employer. That potentially can lead to human rights damages, human rights claim against the employer, because you're not allowed to fire somebody who's on disability. And again, there is an interplay as well between severance that the individual potentially is entitled to and the LTD payments and whether the insurance company is able to get a credit for that. So, to answer the question initially, again, you should not have your LTD cut off if you're fired, but I can tell you it can be a messy situation, so give us a call because we need to advise you on both the employment side and the disability side to make sure that we protect your rights and also that you keep as much of the money that's owed to you in your pocket.
And again, as she said, the employer disputing the doctor, that's an overreach for the insurance company and the employer to dispute the doctor. You guys aren't doctors.
It's exactly right.
You never do that as well. You don't tell one of your clients what to do. I think you feel good. You can go back to work. It's not your job.
It's amazing, John, how many times we get this from individuals who are saying, my adjuster doesn't agree with my doctor. Well, who is this adjuster? They have a medical, even if they had a medical degree, they're not working for the insurance company in the capacity of a doctor. They're working as an adjuster. But the reason why we like it, myself as a lawyer, as a disability lawyer, is because it makes it that much easier to go after the insurance company and show them why they're going to have to pay my client. So the fact that these insurance companies and adjusters are making mistakes is good for you. Not good in terms of the fact that they're giving you a hard time, but it means that we can go after them. We can force them to pay you what you are owed. That's the key.
And with that, we will take our first break, a very short one. When we come back, the main topic, the role of the disability lawyer, what to expect. That is on the way on the Disability Law Show. Stay with us. People think contractors aren't owed severance. EmploymentLawyer.ca says that is a myth. Many contractors are actually employees and are entitled to full severance pay. Always check with the employment lawyer first at EmploymentLawyer.ca. How do you force insurance companies to pay long-term disability claims?
Insurance companies deny legitimate claims all the time. They're playing the odds. They know that most people are just going to walk away.
Your insurer may ignore you, they may even ignore your doctors, but they can't ignore us.
We know how insurance companies work. We know their weaknesses. We know how to use the legal process to force them to pay you what you're owed.
Go to disabilityrights.ca. Discover your rights, fight back, and get what you're owed. People think you are only owed 2 weeks' pay when you lose your job. EmploymentLawyer.ca says that is a myth. You may be owed much more than 2 weeks per year. Don't settle for less. Always check with the employment lawyer first at EmploymentLawyer.ca.
All right, welcome back. Disability Law Show. Again, John Scholes, Sivan Tumarkin. Reach out to Sivan and his team anytime at the firm. The consultation won't cost you a thing. It's toll free, of course, 1-855-821-5900. Help at disabilityrights.ca. One again, our main topic for the show this week, Sivan, it's a good one, the role of the disability lawyer. A lot of mysticism here for those who are not in the business or have watched this show before. What to expect. Number one, all right, a disability lawyer helps you understand your rights, deadlines, and steps involved in a denied claim, because that is stressful, right?
It is very stressful, and it's very important for people to understand that a disability lawyer is there to listen to you, to help you through the issues that you're facing, to explain to you, and I'm going to repeat that for a second, to explain to you what your legal options are and what to expect. And I say this because many lawyers, John, I know because I speak with people who've spoken to other lawyers, skip that step. They simply assume that, you know, you'll come to them saying that you have a problem, they'll tell you they can fix it, please sign, you know, the contract and we'll take care of everything. For me, for my team, it's absolutely critical that you understand the legal landscape. I'm not talking about explaining to you what I've learned in law school or, you know, this case or that case. In plain English, what does that mean? Was the insurance company right to do this or that? Were they correct to tell you this or that? And for you to ask questions. You know, I like my clients informed. I like when my clients ask me questions and quiz me and try to understand. And oftentimes, you know, we straddle between legal advice and practical advice. Again, that's something that many lawyers don't do. They'll give you their legal opinion and then say, okay, well, you decide. We've given you your opinion, our opinion. But that's not the way I think a lawyer should act, a lawyer who's advising a client. We, when we advise clients, we do go through a legal analysis because that's key. We need to understand what the legal framework is. But what's more important is that we tell you what we think practically. And sometimes, for example, somebody may say to me, I want to go to trial. I want to go to trial. I say to them, okay, well, do you know what a trial entails? Maybe we should compromise a little bit with the insurance company because they'll do the same, because a trial is going to be very stressful. And so this is one of the reasons why many of these cases never go to trial, never go to court. So again, a lawyer, a disability lawyer, is critical for explaining to you what your options are, the legal landscape, the practical options that you have, and then it's important to have a lawyer that is not afraid to do what's necessary, which is to go all out against the insurance company. And again, some lawyers, and I can tell you, I know some of them, they're all bluster. And it's all kind of, you know, pounding the chest. But when it comes time to actually confront the insurance company and their lawyers, they back down. You can't do that because, you know, our reputation precedes us. Insurance companies know who we are. They understand that our lawyers are not going to back down. We're going to go all the way. In fact, many of our lawyers, myself included, used to work for insurance companies. So it's really important to understand that a disability lawyer will be there. They will be in between you and the insurance company. They will be dealing with the insurance company directly and their lawyers, not you. So you need that person on your side, in your corner.
All right, second thing you can do now, this one, you can't overstate how important this one is. A disability lawyer can, well, it does handle direct communication with the insurers. Whew.
We touched on that, so that's key. I'm not going to spend much time on this except to say, look, if every time you're getting a call or a letter or an email from your adjuster, it makes your blood pressure shoot up, makes you dizzy, makes you depressed, anxious, imagine if you have a lawyer, if we're there, and once we are and we represent you, the insurance company is not allowed by law to communicate with you directly.
Love it.
That's what happens. So we take on all these communications. You just deal with us. You have your space and the time you need to recuperate, to get better. So that's absolutely critical, John, because for most people, that's really kind of the big upside of having a disability lawyer.
You bet. Number 3, and finally, building a strong case to secure the full amount you deserve, and often, again, without needing to go to court, like you mentioned.
That's absolutely critical. Again, but that requires knowledge, and it requires experience, expertise. So again, you know, you can look up, well, there's no yellow pages now, but you can go on Google and you can find a bunch of people who say they do LTD law, but do they do LTD law? What's their experience? What's their track record? You got to do your homework, right? It's like anything else. If you're choosing an accountant, an architect, a dentist, you want to make sure you get the right person. If you don't, you're going to pay for it. So yeah, you need a disability lawyer to understand the legal issues, to understand how to present your case, and to be prepared to go as far as necessary to make sure the insurance company pays you what you're owed.
And that has covered that main topic. We're going to take one more short break, come back with our second phone call, possibly an email to wrap up the show as well. So stay tuned. More of the Disability Law Show is just ahead.
People think you have to sign back a severance offer by a deadline. EmploymentLawyer.ca says that is a myth. Deadlines are used as a pressure tactic. Make sure the offer is fair before you sign. Always check with the employment lawyer first at EmploymentLawyer.ca. Can insurance companies deny long-term disability claims for mental illness?
When you're suffering from a mental health disability, insurance companies just don't understand. But we do.
They can absolutely not force you back to work. If your doctors say you are not ready and you know you're not ready, they cannot make you go back to work.
If you have a mental health disability and your claim is denied, don't give up. Give us a call and let us fight for you.
Go to disabilityrights.ca. Discover your rights, fight back, and get what you're owed. People think you aren't owed severance pay if you are fired for a reason. EmploymentLawyer.ca says that is a myth. Most for-cause terminations are false, and you are still owed full severance. Always check with the employment lawyer first at EmploymentLawyer.ca.
Okay, we're back with more of the Disability Law Show. We'll get to an email shortly. Want to get to our second phone call of the show from one of our radio shows. Sivan, listen up. Here it comes.
I've been off work on LTD for just a little over a year now. I've had 2 heart surgeries. I'm not sure how successful the second one was because after returning to my job at a warehouse, I'm really struggling. Insurance thought because it was a somewhat easygoing gig, I'd be fine, but I don't know if I should have listened. Would I be able to go back on leave?
Makes sense?
Yeah. We see this often, again, when the insurance company uses their influence and pressure tactics to force people to try and go back to work, whether it's after surgery, after certain treatments, whatever. At any point during the time when a person is on long-term disability, insurance companies will try at some point, in many cases, most cases, to try and convince you or pressure you to go back to work. And so many people, in fact, do that. Either they do it because they want to please the insurance company, or they do it because the doctor says, yeah, maybe it's a good idea to try, or maybe they just feel, you know, I don't want to be a couch potato. I don't want to just, you know, collect checks. I'm not one of these people, whatever. And they try to go back only to find out that it's not successful, that they're struggling, that they're not, you know, it's just not going well. And so the question they ask me oftentimes, John, is, can I go back on LTD? Is there a way for me to go back? And the answer is yes. Within a certain period of time, after trying to go back to work, and that varies from policy to policy, but typically I see 6 months, you know, there is a recurrence clause in your policy, a provision in your policy that is a safety net that says that if within that period of time, whatever that is for your policy, you are unable to continue working because of your disability, presuming you have doctor support to be off work again, you should be able to go back on LTD without the initial and the elimination period. Remember, there's a period of time at the beginning when you apply for LTD called the elimination period. It's usually about 90 to 180 days where the insurance company says we're not paying you anything. And during that time, you have to be continuously disabled. If you engage the recurrence clause, if you try to go back to work and you need to go back on disability and you qualify, you ought to be able to go back on LTD, getting these payments. And so this gentleman here, to me, would make sense that he would go back on LTD without waiting the elimination period. In other words, the money should be flowing in immediately. But in many cases, unfortunately, insurance companies don't do this. They don't do the right thing. What they do instead is they say, no, you haven't tried hard enough. No, you haven't given enough time. No, we don't think you're disabled. And people then are stuck. They have no idea what to do. And some people give up. Not this gentleman here. This gentleman contacted us. We're going to help this gentleman. How? We're going to go to the insurance company. We're going to say, you're going to reinstate him, or you're going to get a claim, a legal claim on your doorstep. And then it's going to cost you a lot more. Mm-hmm. And in many cases, because of our involvement, these insurance companies end up reinstating these individuals and putting them back on LTD. Where they don't, we go after them. Yep. So it's really important to understand you have rights. You have rights. Don't back away from your rights. If you cannot work and the insurance company is refusing to pay you, give us a call, email us, we can help.
Let's get to an email from Alexi for this show. Sivan says, my wife has been on LTD for almost 2 years and her benefits are ending in a few months. The insurer sent her a letter about applying for CPP disability. She's not sure what to do since she's still unable to work. What happens if her CPPD application is denied?
Common question again that we get, John. If her CPPD application is denied, that should not affect her LTD. She should continue getting long-term disability. The reason why insurance companies want you to apply for CPP disability is because if you get approved, any money you get from the government, the insurance company is going to say that's owed to us, meaning we get to pay you less LTD. It's
an offset.
It's an offset. Yeah. You don't get LTD, the full LTD, plus the CPPD. But people are concerned, obviously, what's going to happen if I'm denied? By the way, we can help with those kinds of cases. Okay, we have somebody at the office actually who helps with the CPPD applications. But be that as it may, your LTD should not be cut off. However, I'm speaking here in terms of what ought to happen. Insurance companies sometimes will use the excuse, look, the government says you're not disabled, so guess what? We're going to cut off your benefits. Doesn't work that way. We can go after them. We can force the insurance company to either reinstate you or pay you whatever you're owed by way of a settlement. Again, it's a process. Every case is different. But what you need to know is that you have options. You have options. But I understand why this is concerning for people, why it creates stress and anxiety, because insurance companies, again, they're in the business of denying claims. I'm sorry, but that's what happens. They want to make money. How do they make money? They collect premiums, and then they deny claims or they cut off legitimate claims. Very, very frustrating for people. For us, this is what we do, so we know how to go after them. So if you're in that situation or you have any questions about your CPPD, your LTD, the interaction, what happens, anything else, give us a call. Talk to me, a member of my team. We're always here. We're happy to speak with people, John, at no charge, at no cost.
Plus, people may realize or not realize that being on CPP, if you get approved, is actually beneficial to you.
Yeah.
It's another income stream, right?
CPP disability is another income stream. In fact, I had mentioned that to my friend that I had started the show talking about him with the heart condition. I said, apply for CPP disability because once you get approved for that, if the LTD gets cut off, guess what? The government money continues to come in. And also, it makes it more difficult for the insurance company to cut you off because the government deems you to be disabled.
Right.
So yeah, there are definitely advantages for getting CPP disability if you are also on LTD.
And again, is it not a tougher test, obviously, to get through the government?
Yeah. We believe that it's a tougher test, absolutely. Insurance companies may disagree, but we believe it is a tougher test. We've been very successful with our clients to helping them get CPP disability. But again, the fact that you're denied CPP disability does not mean, number one, that the insurance company should cut off your LTD. And number two, also doesn't mean that we can't help you with the appeal for CPP disability.
Right.
Okay? We've been very successful in that as well.
So don't hesitate.
Don't hesitate. Give
well, you're going to have
call.
to anyway, because they might cut you off if you or estimate what you would have got if you don't apply, right? Which
Correct. Correct. But John, people are going to have other questions beyond this show. Give us a call. Like, we're going to give you this information for free. We're going to advise you about your rights so you understand what the legal landscape is, what your options are.
And that is it for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you made that phone call, sent that email, we thank you as well. Keep those coming. Reach out to Sivan and his team anytime now. Toll-free consultations, free of charge, 1-855-821-5900. The email is help@disabilityrights.ca. And to catch our radio show in a market near you, just go to disabilityrights.ca as well, and you will be taken care of. And maybe I'll hear your voice on a future show. We'll catch you next week right here on the Disability Law Show. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. We'll catch you next time.